Good morning, guys. As I said before, I'm trying to make a video because I like to help you with Unit 7, the exercises you have to do on Monday, so yesterday. And I'm trying to do it this way, and I hope it works out fine. I hope you are all doing fine. That's the most important thing. And then, yeah, let's try. So, I asked you yesterday to talk about, or to read about, or to work around the theme of water and what water is important for and not important for. And the first thing that you would have seen is a poem. It's a poem brought to you by Mike Gold, and the poem goes like this. I'm sure you can read the poem. You don't need my guidance with that. But the first question is, can you find the words that are difficult or new for you? I'm going to do that together with you guys because I think it might help to understand what it is really about. So there are a few words that I think are important to explain. The first one I think is important is liquid silver. What they're referring to in this case, liquid silver, is literally a melted metal, as in the silver that is melted to be a fluid. Fresh water is like liquid silver. It's like melted metal. The meaning you can uncover later. It's not that really big of a deal right now. The next word that I think is important for you to know is dazzling. And dazzling means when something is bright or shiny or grabs a lot of your attention. And shiny, I guess, is the best one. And a sultan is a very important person in the Muslim community. For instance, you could compare it to a very rich person or a king. That's what a sultan would be. The last thing that I think is important is to tread. So the next thing. That means going through. So if you say thousands thread dust for days to seek it, is that thousands of people or a lot of people are going through dust. It doesn't literally mean walking. It's more about you're going to go through a certain thing. That's what it is about a little bit more. So that for the vocabulary. I'm going to read it out to you. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but it might help you with how the structure is built, and it might help you to understand a little bit better. Fresh water is liquid silver, more precious than a king's palaces, and more dazzling than a sultan's jewels. Thousands tread dust for days to seek it, yet others waste and lose it. Our planet's full of water, they say, and I say, try to drink it then. So, we're going to talk about what that means after this. But the other thing that I noticed is you were working on this yesterday, and a lot of you asked me, teacher, what is a vivid picture or what is vivid imagery? What is important to know is when we're talking about vivid imagery, you're talking about using a lot of details or using a lot of examples to try to make other people see or envision what that situation would look like. So it's a technique that writers use to explain a certain situation or to explain what something looks like or senses like. And you're using all your senses to describe that situation. So you use your sight, your hearing, your tasting, your smelling, and your touching to write about. So you're going to write about what you see, you're going to write about what you smell to make sure that person sees the whole picture, so sees the vivid picture as if it was real to them. So that's what a vivid picture is. So when I ask you to paint a vivid picture or to tell me the vivid picture, I want you to use details and I want you to explain and try to express to the best of your abilities what something looks like or something feels like, and use your five senses for that. So there is also a how to do that. So how can you make vivid pictures? So first of all is expand and specify. So when you want to talk about a certain situation, make it bigger. Try to specify a little bit more. Try to give the details of that situation because it will make it more clearly what is happening. For instance, she went to the classroom and sat on her chair. That's interesting, but it's very basic information. If you would say, if you would say, she slowly went to the classroom in the dark hallway next to the mathematics classroom, and she sat on her wobbly chair that made her feel like she was unstable. The smell in the classroom was awful because it smelled like food that had been there for 3 days. Then you're trying to use your senses to explain a little bit more about what happens in that situation or in that image. The next tip that I want to give you is you can be weird. You can try to use a lot of examples or a lot of descriptions or a lot of details because it's going to help you to paint the picture even better. You can always erase them later on, but don't feel weird about using too many. Then the last tip again is try to use the 5 senses, as in most people try to use the seeing. I see this. I have seen something. This looks like this. And it's not bad, but when you try to use the different senses, it will give you a broader spectrum of what something might look like. So that's the main idea. So that's what a vivid picture is. I hope that's a little bit more clear. So when you're trying to express a situation to make it feel reality, like it's reality to someone else, that's the main idea. The next question that is important in your book, page 134, were some questions about what the message would be in that poem. I think you've read the poem, and I think most of you have prepared this as well. What would you think that the message would be behind this poem? What is the main point? What does the poet want to tell you? From my personal experience, I believe that he tries to tell you, one, that the water is very important, as in it is precious, you need to embrace it, it is a gorgeous, wonderful gift that we have, and people need it. So he says something about people needing it, but he also says something about people wasting it. He says that people have to go through dust, I think he says, to go and get water, while other people are not using it the fair way. That's what this person is saying. And there is one more thing. He also says that a lot of water cannot be drunk. So he first says, people tell me there is a lot of water in the world, and I tell them, or I say, try to drink it then, because then you will notice that that is not drinkable water. We have a lot of water, that's not a lie. But it's a weird thing that you think that means that you can just drink it and that every problem is solved. That's the main idea. That's what I believe that he is talking about. Another question that is in the book is what is the water compared to, and why do they have this comparison? He compares the water to liquid silver. That's what he said. So a melted metal that they're talking about. That is what he compares it with. So a liquid silver. And then he says, I do that, what I believe, the reason that I believe he does that is to show, one, that the color and the shine are similar. When you're looking at water, it has a shift to it. It's shiny when the rays of the sun hit it the right way. And also, it's liquidy, as in like you can see it move. Then the other thing, as in this is what it looks like from outside. But another reason why he makes this comparison is because a melted metal is something nice, it is something expensive, it's something beautiful, and it is precious. We need it, we want it, it is important. And water is the same way. We need water, it is precious and it is important. So that's what I would answer to these questions. If you have different things, I would always like to hear it. Okay. Let's see what the rest of the questions are. I think he asks, well, I just checked my book. I mean, you can tell. I just have my book here to help me guide me. So the next question that he talks, or the book asks you, is what two examples can you find in the poem that he compares it to as well? I think he compares it to more dazzling than jewels. He says the water is more dazzling than the jewels of the Sultan. And something else that he says, it is more precious than the palaces of the Sultan, or the palaces of a king's palace. So that's something else that he says. And then again, the question is, why would this person do that? And it is again to show that it is more important or even more precious than jewels. Water is more important than jewels, and it's more important than palaces. Because in general, we like to think that jewels are beautiful and they're rich. Same with palaces, they're beautiful and rich. But I think the poet tries to tell us that water is more precious and more important than jewels or money. That's always up to your own opinion, but that's what I think, of course. And next question, or a next thing that I want you to think about is those Before we start with this question, they ask you to think about your own experience. That could mean, do you waste a lot of water? What do you do with it? What is your opinion? What is your attitude towards water? The next question, and the last question for this, is discuss which of the 5 senses this poet uses. So from seeing to hearing to tasting to touching, what senses are used in this poem? So read the poem again and then try to find the senses that are in there. And I think I'll leave that up to you. You should be able to do that. Then the next thing is about exploring the skills. So what is important is we're going to try to use details. We're going to write a story, or you're going to write about something, and what you want to do is you want to give details. You can do that by using examples, using more facts, or using that vivid imagery that we have talked about before. So on page 134 and 135, you can see an example of when they're doing that. That's the main idea. What I want you to do in exercise 2 is I want you to do the same thing. So you're going to find a topic sentence and you're going to find these 3 things to add it to your own paragraph. But try to remember, vivid images, vivid imagery is to paint a picture with a lot of details, not literally, but by telling. By writing it down, you're going to tell the story. That is what it is about. I think the rest of the examples are clear. If they're not clear, ask me again. I think that is most of what I could explain. Yeah. If that is clear, I hope you should be able to do the rest too. And if not, you'll let me know, I hope. So this was a small video that I hope can help you a little bit with what you've had to do yesterday. If it didn't help, let me know too, because then I'll try to change. But for now, let's keep it this way and see if it helps. Good luck, guys! And that was my ending as well. So be safe, and I'll see you at the other side.